Okay, so first of all, let me just check. Are you able to see my presentation already?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. So to everybody, magandang umaga. And first of all, let me just try to reflect on the very inspiring words of our Madam President Ellen. And one of the things that I really would like to resonate on was when she said, don't be afraid to have your hands dirty. Yeah, that's very true, no? Because hard work, being industrious, truly doing the job is very important. And that's the reason why PMAP and, of course, our chair, Ms. Dina, is trying to have this career launch webinar. So at this point, I would like to say maraming salamat, Chair Migs, and to PMAP for allowing me to share my own experience to the students of your webinar. I am also honored to have on the stage Miss Espirito of Del Monte. Later on, she would talk more about the resume. So my focus is on interview. Anything that has to do with interview, I'll try as much as possible to address it. But when it comes to the instrument, which is your resume or your CV, what's the difference between the two? Our own speaker, Ms. Espirito, will be sharing that later on. So again, maraming salamat for tuning in, for watching, and hopefully at the end of my sharing, you are going to learn more and something. Okay? So on my presentation, you would see me, me and my son. I am a single dad, and I'm just so proud to be a father of an 8-year-old growing, both literally and figuratively. But as you would see on my resume, I've been doing a lot of things. Kasi as mentioned by TJ, I've been working for more than 2 decades. So those of you who are only 20 years old, can you imagine? I started at your age, and now 20 years after, these are just some of the things that I have been doing. But let me now start asking you a question. When do you think did I start working? Guess. Give me an age where you think I started working. You can put it on the chat box. Tignan natin kung merong makakahula ng tama, and then later on, si Professor Miggs will give to the person who is able to correctly answer it, may prize si Professor Miggs. Okay, 24, 18, 16, 18. Actually, wala pa. 19, 21, 16, 18. Okay. Ang dami din palang may sagot. Ano? Thank you very much for participating. Unfortunately, wala pong tama. Well, 40 years old. Ikaw naman, Shayna. Okay, so I started working when I was 15 years old. Well, I lost my parents at a very young age, no? So I really had to work. My first job when I was 15 years old was in, sabihin ko na yung company, was with McDonald's. I was a crew member at McDonald's. But let me share with you first what happened. Ano ba yung context? Bakit ako nag-apply? I started working when I was 15 years old. I graduated from high school when I was 14 years old. Noong unang panahon, wala pang K-12. So, at 14, pwede ka nang graduate ng high school. So, I graduated 14 in high school, and then I was able to enter UP at that age. Kasi, di ba, March, and then June, alam mo na kung papasok ka, so saan ka school papasok, no? So, I was already going to enter UP when I was only 15 years old. So somehow, sabi ko, sige, apply na lang ako ng job. So I've been into a lot of McDonald's stores. And first time, they said, correct, no? They said, Freddy, you are too young. Second, they said, Freddy, you are too small. Then the third one, they said, Freddy, you are too thin. Ang payat ko kasi noon. Maliit na ako, payat na ako, and then at that time, if you still remember, I don't know if you know this, yung map ng McDonald's, ang bigat-bigat nun. Kaya nga they were saying, baka hindi mo makayanan buhatin yung map itself. So 3 times I was denied work. 3 times I was told, you're not good enough. We cannot hire you. Always rejection. And this is where the application of President Ellen said, don't be afraid to have your hands dirty. Because on the 4th time, but before I went to the 4th, no, I tried to really, yung topic mamaya ni Professor Miggs, explore the psychology of confidence in job application. In-internalize ko lahat yan. Lahat ng mga previous questions, in-internalize ko. I got so prepared with the questions so that when I sat for the interview, I was already prepared to say my piece. And then the first manager who rejected me was the last manager who interviewed me. Wala nang question. Ang sabi lang niya, you know what, Mr. Primicias, I've seen you several times and I know that we have rejected you several times, but you're still here applying. You don't need to apply anymore because starting tomorrow, you're going to start your orientation. Wow! Talagang sabi ko sa sarili ko, what? So I think persistence is one of the values that I would like to share with you. You will really face a lot of disappointments, rejections, sasabihin you're not enough. A lot of things will be said about you. But don't be afraid to have your hands dirty. Maraming salamat, President Ellen. And at the same time, be persistent. Okay, so that will be my first sharing with you. Of course, the chat box is always there. You can always type in your questions and or concerns. Now, I just would like to find out, kasi sabi sa akin ni Professor Miggs, all of you are in school. Eh baka naman meron din dyan who are working already, katulad ko, working student, or those of you who are in between jobs. So can you use the chat box and just for me to understand, are you a student? Press 1. If you are working, press 2. And if you're looking for a job, press 3. Wow, ang dami nag-respond. 2, 1, 1, 1. Majority. Oh, may 1 and 3. Very good. Thank you very much. Okay. Maraming salamat for letting me know who are our participants for today. But before I go to the next slide, this is now where I would like to invite you to be part of PMAP. Yung journey ko, no, as you all know, I graduated from UP Diliman, and then I never heard about PMAP until I joined my previous company. So my first job, right after college, I was a training manager for a school. And the HR director is already a member of PMAP. Na I got so curious, ano ba itong PMAP? In fact, before, no, hindi pa to people management. So, ma-expose yung age ko, Professor Mig, tsaka President Ellen, no? Kasi during that time, ang tawag sa PMAP is Personnel Management Association of the Philippines. Correct me if I'm wrong, President Ellen, but I think you transformed the title to People Management only 2018 or thereabouts, no? But anyway, so ganun ako nag-start in PMAP. Why am I saying this? Because, ladies and gentlemen, to our fresh students out there, you need to have a community. You need to have an association. And if you have not found the right association for you, let me open the door and say, join PMAP. It will bring out the best in you, as it has brought out the best in me and bring the best out of Migs, out of Alva, out of TJ. So with that invitation, let me now concentrate on our topic for today. So in front of you is a question, what is a job interview? And there are 3 selections, letter A, letter B, and letter C. So The first person who is able to give us the right answer on the chat box will get a prize from Professor Gina. Go! Ala, ayan na, dami nang sumasagot. Very good. So, Professor Gina, sino yung first natin na nakatamang sagot? Si Mr. Donald Laksamana. Mr. Donald Laksamana, later on, I'll be giving my email address. Take my email address and then we'll be sending you the prize. Okay? So that is correct. What is a job interview? It is not an opportunity to embarrass yourself, but there is a learning lesson here. Remember, it is not to embarrass yourself, but to grow. Because when you have rejections, when you commit mistakes, and let me repeat this, when you commit mistakes, the more that you will gain proficiency, the more that you will gain excellence. So, normally, this is what I tell to my students. In my classroom, commit mistakes. I encourage students to commit mistakes. Consider the classroom as your laboratory. But it is not to embarrass you. It is only to allow you to grow. Reflect on your mistakes and find out, how can I grow even better? So letter A is not exactly the answer, but the advice here is learn from your mistake. First lesson was persistence. Second lesson is learn from your mistake. The third one is a gauge to see if I'm better than the next one. Again, that is not what job interviews are. It is not for you to say, oy, mas magaling ako kaysa dito. Oy, mas maganda yung school ko. Oy, mas maganda yung course ko. No, it is not about comparison, but it is more about community. It is all about collaboration. It is all about really finding out your true worth in a community or in a job. Normally kasi may nangyayari na, like for example, in my case, in 3 beses na bumagsak ako sa McDonald's, ang sakit nun. At 15 years old, masakit yun sa akin. Lagi ko sinasabi, why? Ano pa ba kulang sa akin? Did I not speak good English? Well, of course, pangit talaga ako, no? But, kasi yung mga kasama ko dati talaga, madami naging artista. Anyway, so yung mga iba talaga matatangkad and everything. So sabi ko, would those be the reasons why? Then I realized it is not me, that I should not compare myself, but I should always look into, what do I have? Ano ba ang meron ako? And what can I contribute to the company? And then finally, you are correct. The answer is about capabilities and potential. And for me, as an HR practitioner with more than 20 years of experience, ang batting average ko, I would say 8 out of 10 na hina-hire ko, nagsasucceed sa organization. And yung 2 na hindi nagsasucceed, I take it personally, especially kung magre-resign sila. Sasabihin ko, why? Did I fail on understanding the need, both of the company and the applicant? Parang nakaroon ba ako ng hindi pagkakaunawa? But of course, there would be a lot of factors to consider. But again, ladies and gentlemen, to the young minds of Career Launch webinar series, try to focus on your capabilities. Try to focus on your potentials. What are capabilities? This would be your knowledge, your skills, your abilities, what you are passionate about, what you can do nearly perfect. Yung parang isang sinot mo na lang, uy, para ka nang si Ben Cab sa galing mong magsulat. O para kang si Gary Valenciano sa pag-awit at pag-awit at pagsayaw. Ganun kagaling. So, capability would be your knowledge, skills, ability to a degree that it is nearly perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the young minds of Career Launch, my first question to you is, what are you competent at? What are your capabilities? What can you do nearly perfect? And if you know that, well and good. The potential is more about you looking towards the future with your capabilities, with your competencies inward. How do you see yourself progressing to the next step, to the next stage, to the next level? Di ba, ang ganda ng kwento ni Madam President Ellen. Ang sabi niya, she stayed with her organization for 18 years or more. Doon na siya nagdalaga, naintindihan niya yung culture. That is what also potential is. How do you see yourself fitting the organization? How do you see yourself growing with the organization? And how will you contribute to the overall growth of the organization? Of course, alam ko po na most of you will say, Freddy, wala pa naman akong work eh. Yun na ba ang tatanungin ko sa sarili ko? It may not be the right answer, it may not be the right question today, but it will be in the future. Okay? So before I go to the next slide, to the next page, would there be any questions? Please put 0 if you don't have questions. And of course, if you have 1, please write down your questions. 0 if you don't have questions. Ayan, thank you very much, Joel. No question, no question, no. Ayan, sige. So hopefully you still remember the advice. Number 1 is be persistent. Then number 2, it is not about try to commit a lot of mistakes and grow from your mistakes. And of course, the nugget of wisdom from President Ellen is that don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. The next slide is about, this one is an infographic. I will not discuss this. Actually, I just use this. And I would like to thank the owner of this infographic, which is IntelliHire. But what I would discuss with you would be the different things that I think would be very applicable to each and every one of you. Kasi if you look into Google, type lang ninyo yung job interview. If you go to YouTube, type lang ninyo yung job interview. Ang daming source that you can look into. Katulad nga sabi ni Madam President, you are so lucky, ladies and gentlemen, because you have technology to help you. During our time, kanya-kanya, we don't have this. But nevertheless, you can always go there and look into it, learn more. But what I would be sharing with you would be based on my experience as an HR practitioner. Okay, so first, what I would like to share with you is job vacancy. Lahat po tayo, we are looking for jobs. Perhaps some of you are also creating jobs. But if you are looking for a job, definitely you would start with job vacancies. And this is one of the things I would like really for you to consider. Look for a job that fits you. What do I mean by that fits you? Kasi madami ako nakikitang applicants that would go from one company to the next. I have nothing against people who would go from one company to the next, no? But what is clear is that these applicants have not found the company that fits them. So what am I saying here? At this point, if you're going to graduate, I'm pretty sure you have gone through your internship. I'm pretty sure that social media has given you the right information about different companies out there. So the very first thing I'd like you to ask yourself is, ano ba yung company that will fit me? Look into your value system. Look into your very purpose. Ikaw ba ay gusto mo maging basketball player? Gusto mo ba maging chef? Gusto mo ba maging president? Or maging HR? Ask yourself. In fact, when I was still in college, one of my sociology teachers or professors told us, you need to create your own mission statement. What is your mission? Why are you here? What are you here for? Look for a job, look for a company that fits you. Again, so that you don't have to go from one company to the next. Nakakapagod po yun eh. But because it is the time that you're going to invest so that you and the company can grow together. Job vacancy. The next is about job description and job advertisement. Ayan, ito po mga kapatid, ano, sa mga bagong graduates and those of you who are working. Normally, and it happened to me, and it's still happening to me, ano, pag nakakita ko ng magandang company, uy, apply kagad ako. Ayan. Or nakita ko yung based on reputation, malaking magpasweldo, uy, apply kagad ako. Without even looking into what is the job advertisement, what is the job profile, what is the job description. Are those really important, Freddie? Yes. Look into the job description. Find out, are you ready to take the job? Are you qualified to take the job? Will you learn from the job? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just going to graduate and with very limited experience, look into the job description and find out what else can I learn. If I don't qualify, if I don't have the measurements of what the job description is the company willing to take me in so that I can grow? And the answer is yes, always. With my experience, I know most of the companies I work for, I would always ask the hiring managers, are you willing to take in fresh graduates? The answer is always yes. Because we not only look into the capability or the competency, we also now look into the potential. May interest ba itong batang ito? Ito ba ay tatagal? Will the person have the learning hunger to learn rather? Okay, so look into the job description, look into the job advertisement. Do not disregard the job description, because hiring managers like me would always ask the question, what can you bring to the table? What do you have? How do you know such and such and such? And if you're not yet prepared, then perhaps you're just going to tell lies. So, job description and job advertisement. We now go into the third one. Professional profile, ayan. So, actually, ang daming terminologies. Resume, nung unang panahon, nung panahon namin ni Madam President Ellen, pasensya na, Madam President, if I am bringing you in. Pero tawag namin by data. Ayan, yung binibili namin sa National Bookstore, fill out lang namin, tapos bigay na namin dun sa whatever. But it is no longer the case. You need to have either a curriculum vitae or a professional profile or a resume. All of that will be discussed later on by Ms. Espirito. But what I would like you to consider is, number one, the resume should be your image. Diba, normally, pag kayo ay napapadaan sa may malaking mirror, ano ba mirror sa Tagalog? Sa malaking, Professor Gina, ano nga pa Tagalog sa mirror?
Salamin, sir.
Salamin.
Ayan, thank you very much for that. Di ba, pag may nakita kang salamin, di ba, mapapadaan ka, biglang titigil ka, titingin ka. Ayan, di ba, tapos ayusin yung book mo, and then, madami kang gagawin eh. That should also be your resume. That should also be your CV. Normally, what I have noticed is that, well, not all naman pala. Ang masasabi ko, sabihin na lang natin mga siguro 3 out of 10. Mali-mali grammar. Spelling, may spell check na mga kapatid, no? Panahon namin walang spell check, tinatype pa namin yan, ayusin namin yung spacing. Pero ngayon, ang dali na lahat. Pero wala pa din eh. Mali yung grammar, mali yung punctuation. Ang dumi. Okay? So, before you send your resume, your CV, professional profile, whether electronic or hard copy, always take a deep breath and then ask yourself, is this the image that I'll be sending to my future hiring manager? If you are already satisfied, then go ahead. But if you're not, look into it, check it, change it. Okay? Resume. I'm pretty sure Mrs. Spirito will tell you this later. But do you put your picture? It depends. Look into the job advertisement. If you're going to ask me, well, preferably no picture. But oftentimes, kasi ako po, visual kasi ako eh. So if I see the picture and if I interview you, mako-connect kita, uy, kilala ko to. Yan. So again, look into the job advertisement. If the job advertisement says put a picture, then put it. But if it says not, then don't put anymore. Okay? So we have finished job vacancy. We have finished job description. We have finished professional profile. What is the next? So send through email or job site. Di ba? Ang daming technology right now, madaming system. There is Workday, there is Ateneo, there are a lot of ways for you to apply. The only thing that I would advise for you to do is you complete mo yung pre-screening. Kasi kahit na mahaba yan, di ba? There are 8 steps. Ang tagal-tagal, may mga exam. Ang tagal-tagal, ano ka na. Be patient. Don't be afraid to have your hands dirty. Be persistent. Okay? So if you go to the job site, try to complete it. If you're going to send it through email, then make sure that that is the image that you're going to send. Then finally, when you try to attend job interview schedule, ayan, we are going to talk more about this later on, in full details. But the 3 things that I'd like you to realize is you just have to be prepared, be early, and behave properly. Ano ba yung behave properly? Sometimes, di ba, ang dami-daming, yung behave properly is oftentimes a trigger of your external environment, especially if you're not in an area where it is quiet, you're alone, and you are fully concentrating on the interview. But if you are probably, andyan yung kapatid mo naglalaro, nagsisigawan yung mga kapitbahay, maraming marites and everything else, you just have to behave properly. How do you do that? We'll talk more about that later on. But for now, mga kapatid ko, it's 9:57 already. Just checking. If you have any questions or concerns, type 0 if you don't have questions. Type 1 and your concern if you have any. Nandyan pa po ba kayo, mga kapatid? Yes, thank you very much, Jewel. Yes, no questions, no questions. Okay, maraming salamat, Aina, Arvin. Let me now proceed with my next slide. Virtual interview, ito po ay very popular because of COVID, and right now we are working towards digitalization, or ito yung tinatawag na 4th Industrial Revolution. Nandito na tayo sa age of digitalization. And that's why I'm going to focus on virtual interview. So what do you do before the virtual interview? The virtual interview, okay? First of all, know all details. Ano ba yung pangalan ng interviewer? Ano ba yung company's vision, mission, values? Job description, we discuss it later on, and your motivation level. Name of interviewers. Normally, the one that will set the schedule with you is not also the interviewer. So you just have to clarify. Ask the person setting the interview with you, will you be the interviewer or there will be someone else? Why do you need to say that? Because it would be really awkward if you are in an interview and then, wait a minute, Professor Migs, are you my interviewer? Kasi somebody said you're not. Mga ganyan, di ba? So if that is now the interaction, oftentimes it would be just awkward. So if you know the name of your interviewer, you can build rapport. You can build relationship just by giving the name of your, okay, just by giving the name or using the name of your interviewer. Like you can start by saying, thank you very much, Professor Mix, for allowing me to be here in this interview. Okay. And another tip there is when you use the name of your interviewer, iba yung nagiging effect to other people. Parang, di ba, pag sinabi mong Freddy, oy, makikinig ka na kasi it is addressed to you. Okay? So, the name of the interviewer is very important. Now, company's vision, mission, values. I don't want you to memorize. It's not about to memorize it, but the question, the company's vision, mission, values is connected to your motivation level. Why are you applying in that company? Is my motivation level connected to the very purpose of the organization? For you to know the fit that you are looking for, then look into ano ba yung strategy ng company, ano yung structure, ano yung system, because if you understand vision, mission, values, you can ask the interviewer and say, how are you able to manifest your vision, mission, values during COVID? It is how they care. And you, your purpose. Know the details. Very important po yan. Next, of course, you can always rely on your friends, di ba? You can always rely from your parents, your brothers, sisters, your nephews, your aunts, your tita, anyone or everyone that you can ask. Ask them, ano ba yung reputation and culture? Toxic ba dyan? Can I survive? Mga ganyan, di ba? Kasi there are people, I don't know with you, no? Kasi I thrive in a toxic environment. I thrive in a pressure-laden company. Yung parang, I need this yesterday. I need this last year, mga ganyan. I thrive on that. Although it's difficult then kasi there would be a lot of interactions. But nevertheless, try to understand the culture. Vision, mission, values would be your statements. But how do they live? Kaya nga you're going to ask your interviewer, how are you able to care for your employees during COVID? Because that will now be the physical manifestation of the culture. Pieces of advice, ask for pieces of advice. Oh, ikaw, di ba nag-work ka dito? Ano yung masasabi mo? Yeah. And then, this one, one of the most effective things that I have learned. You just have to role play. Like for example, in case kay Professor Miggs, I will ask, Professor Miggs, may interview ako sa X company. Can we do role play? Can you be the interviewer and I'll be the applicant? Ask me questions. Yan. And then during the role play, simulate, have that applicant persona, and then just try to play the role. Let the person, like for example, Professor Gina, assess, evaluate your performance during the simulation and improve on it. Others, I say, role play or record yourself so that you would hear yourself, you would see yourself, record, play, and then learn. Number 3, you just have to be prepared, be ready, anticipate questions, diba? As I told you, during my 3 rejections, I pulled all of the questions together and made sure I am ready on my 4th question about starting salary. Be prepared. Di ba, tinanong kanina ni Madam President Ellen, how much is the minimum wage? Ask yourself, what is the level of salary that you are going to be motivated to work each and every day? Location and possible hybrid, that is also a very good question to ask even before you go through your interview. Because if you are the type of person that would prefer hybrid rather than 100% work from home or 100% in the office, then you just have to balance. Ano ba talaga? Where do you want to go? And finally, ito importante, get enough rest because you become alert when you are well rested. Do you need to eat before the interview? Well, it depends na sa iyo, no? In my case, I don't want to eat first kasi if I eat first, nagkakaroon ako ng problema. But nevertheless, ask yourself, accept what is the tolerance level for the stress? And of course, the most important, drink water. Do you drink coffee? Well, that's yours. Do you drink hard alcohol? No, not recommended. So we're finished with before. We now go to during the interview. Be punctual. Of course, this is no longer where you have to go there physically because this is virtual, but try to be in the Zoom room or in the Google room or whichever platform is going to be used. Try to be there at least 10 to 5 minutes before so that you can check your video, your audio. Kasi di ba, oftentimes, nako, nawawalan ka ng connection, Wi-Fi, and everything else. People could not hear you. Stressful situation yan. Therefore, you just have to be prepared. You just have to be there inside the room at least 10 minutes before. Next, ito importante, smile. Diba may kantang smile, though your heart is aching. So, you just have to smile. Don't pretend. You just have to smile. Okay? So, kuha ng salamin, tignan ng sarili, give that joyful smile. Eye contact is very important. I normally tell this to my students because if you establish eye contact, you will also establish sincerity. Okay? Have eye contact. And answer the best way possible. Don't go around the bush. Actually, there's a model, STAR models, situation, task, action, result, targeted selection to, no? From Development Dimension Incorporated, DDI. But try to take the course of PMAP. May course on PMAP about recruitment and selection. Okay? Try so that you can know more. But when I say answer the best way possible, be as honest as you can, provide the situation, provide what you did, and what was the result after doing that. Talk about your thesis. Talk about your challenges when you were doing your own schoolwork. Talk about your leadership role in school. Talk about the most difficult professor or teacher you ever had. How did you survive it? Tell it to them. Be prepared on how you're going to narrate it. But most of all, be honest. Don't create lies, don't create stories. Otherwise, you are no longer authentic. Of course, when you are honest, that can raise the confidence level. Be pleasantly audible. I don't know if I am audible enough, but be pleasantly audible. And then clearly pronounce your words. Don't eat it. And then, my last advice is have a conversation. If the person asks you, then perhaps you can throw another question back so that the conversation is free flowing. Have a conversation. Let it be a two-way process. Okay? Let the other person know your personality as well. Relax, enjoy, and just be authentic. For difficult questions, normally this is what I do. No? If I ask a very difficult question, I am already prepared to ask my applicant, would you need more time? In fact, I often give water. Here, let me offer you water. Because if the question is very difficult, you can also ask your interviewer, you know what, that would be a very difficult question to ask or to answer. Would you be able to give me time to think about it? Because when you try to think, you are going to structure your answer. It has to be authentic. It should not be a lie. But again, focus on situation, task, action, and result. What did you do? How successful, or if not, how miserable were you? Okay? And then always use the name of the interviewer. And then, what do you do afterwards? So, sige, nag-usap na kayo, and then the person said, thank you very much for coming over. Please give us at least 1 week to process your paper, and if you, in case you get another information or letter from us, then that would be our job offer for you. Now, if in case you have not heard anything at all, what do you do? Immediately, ito po ang aking masasabi sa inyo, no? Immediately, right after the interview, send your interviewer a thank you note. Professor Gina, it was a pleasure meeting you. I enjoyed our conversation, and I'm really looking forward to completing my mission and my purpose through your organization. I see myself growing and being able to contribute to your growth or something to that effect. No? Have a thank you note. Again, remember, try to be honest and authentic. And then finally, kung after 7 days, wala pa rin, send another follow-up note. Be persistent, but not arrogant. Okay? This way, the interviewer or the hiring manager will have a trigger to understand, uy, interesado talaga itong batang ito. Diba, in my case, 3 beses ako ni-reject, but I still keep on coming. I don't know kung naawa sila sa akin, but I stayed there for 5 years. I was with McDonald's Greenbelt, and then I moved to McDonald's Quezon Avenue. They promoted me to McDonald's Green Hills. I opened McDonald's in Rodriguez. So with that entire span of 5 years, and I was still in college, they trusted me enough to be promoted. Okay, so in your case, I'm pretty sure you're going to find an organization that will trust you and will use your capabilities so that you can profit together and build our nation. Let me now end my topic with this, no? O, di sige, nagpa-interview ka na. Nagsuot ka ng barong, di ba? Kahit na siguro waist down, hindi ka nakapantalon. Basta, well, of course, your half body is presentable enough. Right now, I'm wearing barong. And you were able to get a job. Congratulations. You have to tap your back and say, I did it. I have the job that I wanted. I am motivated and I'll grow. So what are the different tips that I would like to share with you? First is, during interview, give yourself time to inhale and exhale. Be grounded. Okay, there are times that you would really be in questions that are so difficult. Take time to breathe in, breathe out, be grounded, and just try to have that key principle. The key principle is be honest, be authentic. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay? Is it bad if you say, I don't know the answer? Well, it really dependent on the applicant. Dependent on the interviewer. So if you're going to ask me, for me, no, it's not bad. You're just being honest. I don't think, and I would not even consider that you know everything. You are not the encyclopedia or Google to know all information. But you need to somehow give a follow-through phrase, like, if it is important in my job, I'll try to learn even more. What's your next step? You don't know it. What's your next step? If it's crucial for you to get a job, what's your next step? Next is this one, don't be arrogant. Okay? Be polite. Try to be very, you can be assertive. Iba kasi ang arrogance eh. And for Filipinos like us, we are still a polite community. You need to be less arrogant. Be your best. Ayan, always project an image of excellence, of being your best. Be confident. Okay? If you stutter, okay lang yun. Take a deep breath and then do it again. Practice, role play, then do it again. This one, ladies and gentlemen, you will receive this often than not. Rejection. one of the things that I've learned, no, I have been in organizations like Accenture, Ericsson, McKinsey, all of these companies. I always visualize in my mind that I am in the organization. Let me share with you my McDonald's. Diba? I was rejected 3 times. The night before the fourth interview, this is what I did. I made sure before I went to bed, before I went to sleep, I made sure that I am already wearing my nameplate, wearing the uniform, cooking hamburgers and telling in front of my customer, good morning, thank you for coming to McDonald's. How may I help you? I have that printed clearly in my mind. And I got the job. I don't know if that would be a secret, but in each of the company I want to work with, it is always clear in my mind. It is always clear on my motivation level. It is always clear that I fit the job and what is the purpose that it will play as I grow. And then finally, just become focused on your goals. If you are rejected right now, perhaps it's a redirection. Go back to your key principle. Go back to your goal. Go back to what fits you. Look and search. I just would like to end my sharing with you with this quote coming from Eleanor Roosevelt. And she said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Dream big. In strategic planning, sabi nga nila, try to BHAG. BHAG would be big, hairy, audacious goals. I was working for 10 years. Sabi ko sa'yo, I started 15. I didn't have a goal until I turned 25. Because when I turned 25, nakaroon kami ng reunion among all of my high school classmates, no? And 99% of them went to the reunion ang gara ng kotse. And I could still remember when I went to the venue, sumabit pa ako sa jeep. And that was the time when I said, no, I should not, after 10 years of working, I should not have anything at all as a physical manifestation of what I have been doing for the past 10 years. So from that on, I said, I would like to have a car. And lo and behold, because of that dream, it manifested into reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to tell you right now is that decoding the interview will take a lot of all other factors. But the fundamental factor is you, your dream, your purpose, and how do you fit. With that, maraming salamat po to Tina, maraming salamat Professor Gina, Madam President Ellen, and to the next speaker, Ms. Alba, maraming salamat for allowing me to share this to each and every one of you. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.